It's Monday morning and I'm in the yard, but the video team are not. They are down in central London, shedding light on a peaceful protest. In the UK at the moment, tool theft is savage. People are getting robbed left, right and centre for the tools they need to earn a living day to day. We ourselves have been robbed about 3 or 4 times. So a peaceful protest started at Brent Cross today, and we are taking a slow drive into central London to Westminster to ask the government to please enforce laws to try to deter people from stealing tools from people just trying to make a living day to day.
I'm Lee Wilcox, I'm the co-founder and CEO on The Tools. We are a community of tradespeople online, and our mission is to improve the lives of UK tradespeople.
How can you accept tradespeople livelihood being stolen like that? Vans getting broken into, doors ripped open, holes drilled into vans, locks ripped off, tools stolen. The people can't recover from that. This government needs to understand these are our offices. We work from them.
Theft is at an epidemic level in the UK, and it's all around trying to stop the sale of tools, also to try and get tougher sanctions for tool theft. There's a massive problem at the moment where these tools can be stolen with very limited amount of things that happen, even if they get caught. And then there's a high demand at car boots and markets.
2 years ago I was cleaned out of my van, about 4.5 grand worth of tools. It had mental health problems. I couldn't continue the work. I had to borrow tools from friends. Clients were let down, and it's a big impact for us.
You go to bed at night, you stay in a hotel, whatever it is, you wake up, your van's wrecked, your doors are trashed, your tools are gone, and just no one seems to care. And the police want to help, but they don't have the resources or money. The police, the parliament, there are some politicians that are showing an interest in getting behind us, but we really need to make enough of a noise so it goes right to the top in Parliament, where formal legislation is made that a car boot sale or a Facebook marketplace or a local directory can't just sell second-hand goods or second-hand tools without being able to evidence where they've come from.
It's not just the tools that are getting stolen, it's like the value of the van, like the cost to fix the van. They've cut a massive square out of both doors to open them, so that's two new doors that need replacing. It's an absolute joke. It's the constant worry, the constant stress.
Our belief is that tradespeople aren't looked after in the same way as other industries, and we want to make a change on that. And the way we do that is by doing things like this and pulling the industry together. I think there's about 400 vans here today.
In the yard, I am happy to say that the ramp which we installed last week is working well. It has significantly limited the amount of material which is getting dragged into the wheel wash, which will stop the sump pump from getting filled with sand so quickly, and it should clean the lorries that bit better. It's puncture season at the moment. So we have a tyre fitter in who is repairing a number of punctures. Last week you saw 19 punctures, and now he's back in and we have 16 to repair. The tippers are not doing very well, but it is that time of the year. Going back into central London and the protest, I commend the peaceful action which has been taken, and I hope that it can reach the right people and instigate some change. I don't think that people fully understand the impact that someone's tools being stolen can have on them. They basically can't earn a living anymore. Any existing jobs which they have, they would have to stop immediately. They may have to go and borrow money at interest, which they can't afford. They may not be able to keep up with the obligations to feed their family, to pay their rent. Then there's the mental, the psychological, and all the financial trauma. Perhaps people who are stealing their tools think,
oh, I only nicked a hammer and a screwdriver and, you know, a power drill. It doesn't make a difference.
It makes a massive difference, and it affects so many families in the UK. I feel very strongly about it. And as you can see by what happened in central London, a lot of people are affected by it and also feel very strong about it. Still on the subject of central London, last week you saw us building up the floor level in the bathroom. Well, today we begin the tiling. The most difficult part is the area around the waist, which is a linear grille. We need to cut around, flush to it, while at the same time sloping towards it. First, we put the tiles in place and put down masking tape, which makes it easier to mark with a pencil. Then we cut very slowly and delicately to ensure we're accurate and do not cause any damage. We do this for the entire bathroom and then dry fit to triple check all is correct. All the tiles are then removed and installed using adhesive. We use white adhesive due to the colour of the tile, as using grey adhesive may bleed through and discolour the tile. Got a problem with this Volvo tipper. It needs a plug-in and we do not have a computer that can diagnose. So we've had to call a third party and hopefully they can come in tomorrow morning. More than likely, it's going to be a broken wire and we need it repaired. And speaking of repairs, the triumphant return of the tyre van is about to commence. Needs a bit of a wash, but has a new aircon compressor. It's been serviced, all the filters have been changed, and it's got a new battery. It's working perfectly. We can now use this to change any punctures or just run to the local hydraulic shops for parts and bits and pieces. Very happy that's back at long last. And now, let's head out on the road with a driver who does not have a puncture. But if he did have a puncture, the van is ready to go out to him. Nice. Ben is in the baby grab doing a muck away. This is an extremely tight road with weight restrictions which the big grab cannot access. This inert clay is being brought up from a conveyor belt from lower ground floor excavations. The baby grab weighs 9 tons empty and can carry 9 tons. Its maximum authorized gross weight is 18 tons. Tuesday. Hello, Jules. Come on, Jules. It's Tuesday. We're in the yard. And so is Jules, who just accelerated past the camera. We have a fuel delivery and we have a problem with the 586 shovel. A couple of warnings on the dashboard. Now, we believe this is AdBlue related. So we're going to try a repair ourselves where we're going to take out the AdBlue injector, see if it's crystallized, see if we can clean it and then slot it back in, and hopefully that fixes the problem. Otherwise, this call outs and plugins and $4,000 for a new injector and all this type of story, which I don't really need at this present moment in time. Weeks back, you say I involved myself in an auction I had no business involving myself in and bought an office that I had no business buying. I sold that office to one of my friends, and today they're actually collecting it and they're going to install it at his depot, and I'm very happy because it's gone to a good home. The modular offices are broken down into 5 3-metre by 10-metre sections for transportation. They are dismantled, lifted onto a trailer, and make their way to their new home where they'll be reassembled. Oh, let me get a pen. Can I borrow a pen, please? Thank you.
There you go, mate. All I need is a signature, print and date.
Signature. Terry.
Terry. Surname Terry?
Duff. The weather doesn't do us any favours,
No,
mate.
don't do any favours. It's your pen.
That's our pen. Yeah, sorry, Vash, I tried to give your pen away. Thanks, mate. I'll see you later. Yeah, the yard is a bit of a problem at the moment with the rain. We are praying for sunnier days, but I have a plan actually going to suck all of the water out the holes with the sweeper. And as it's not raining for a couple of days, we're going to fill all of those holes with 6F5. Now, I know this isn't a permanent solution, but what it will do is it will stop the puddling. It will help the lorries, because at the moment, the lorries are rocking all over the place going through these gigantic holes. So it's, we got to just do what we can until the weather improves and then start the concreting process again, which I do in fact have a plan for. Hello. Anyway. Samuel.
Out the way, yeah? Do I have to have it on the path, do I?
Always, Sam.
Okay, sorry.
Always. What's the time? 1:26, and I have a Zoom at 1:30, so I'm off. While on my Zoom, the pressure washer is being changed over. The lorry is fitted with a winch, which is perfect for offloading and loading heavy items. My love for winches stems back to the original Jurassic Park movies, when the lady first grabbed the man's head and turned so he could see a Brachiosaurus. We do a quick check of his vital signs, move it into place, fill it with diesel, feed the lance through the fence, and we're ready to get washing again. Recycled material, and 6F5 in particular, is a very strange commodity, because there's times in the year when everybody has it, and therefore, because of supply and demand, the price is driven down because people have yards full of it and they want to get rid of it. And there are other times of the year when nobody's got any left, and then the price begins to rise. No one ever likes it when the price goes up. At the moment, we're at a period when some large-scale projects need a lot of 6F5 due to the mucky conditions, and a lot of the suppliers who have large quantities, those quantities are lowering. For us, recycled material, it's more about leaving the yard with a load on so we don't leave empty, taking it somewhere, and then going to collect a load from somewhere else. In the future, we'd like to be more dependent on recycled material. We'd probably like a 30-70 split with primary. Of course, we have our fantastic railhead where we can import sand and gravel for concrete, and some type 1 for the projects where engineers won't let us use any of the recycled gear. But we are moving into a period where the recycled is getting a decent price, and a lot more sites are requesting it. Now, that might be because we're pushing it a lot more and saying we can offer you an alternative which has all the certification. Either way, I'm happy that more recycled processed material is going out to the jobs. Speaking of which, we have 3 or 4 other lads which are now getting loaded, and they are heading down to a residential new build site to drop them in some 6F5. Tuesday evening, the time is 8 p.m. It was a late one. Stayed behind to work on an edit with Friday of a video which should be coming out tomorrow or Thursday, and that is how we installed our train line. A great engineering video for anyone with an interest in construction, rail, or even machinery. Gone back to the old school when we used to do fun videos that I was very proud of, like World's Biggest Ship and Journey of a Rock. Another long day. We go again tomorrow. And that's it for Tuesday. It's Wednesday and I'm in the yard. It's been a very busy day. Haven't had a chance to film. And caveat, this is gonna look, yay, the lights. This is gonna look extremely weird because it's nighttime and then I'm gonna show you cutaways, that's what we call it, I'm the cutaway king whenever I'm editing, of what happened today in the yard. Once again, we had a load of tyre work done. When changing tyres, we always look very closely at the wheel nuts. Now, some of the wheel nuts on this lorry look very corroded, so as a safety precaution, we're replacing. There's a tip we're going in and out of at the moment, and it is completely destroying all of our tires. We have a new plan. We're going to put something in place that we should have done a long time ago. We are going to wash every single wheel when it comes off a lorry, because I've noticed that when we're putting wheels on, if it's caked in mud on the rim and then you tighten up the wheel nuts and then you're going to go for a wheel wash, it's possible that it could remove some of the dirt and debris. You check every morning and you check at the end of the day to tighten up your wheel nuts, but to be safe, we're going to completely clean all of them. This is the first lot that we have cleaned already, and the van got a clean. But not because I want it to look nice, because there's a sound coming from the back. And when it was at the garage, they were not able to check the rear axle, which is making some noise. They think it's a bearing, but they said it was caked in mud. So they couldn't look at it properly. Can you imagine somebody saying that something's of Ashville's is caked in mud? As if. Anyway, we've blasted it off now, and we may be able to get a proper look around it tomorrow in the daylight. This Volvo tipper I spoke about earlier in the week was looked at this morning. We had a new headlight to go on it, but it was the wrong headlight, so that couldn't go on. And the warning on the dashboard was, in fact, the brakes on the third axle, and we didn't have them. So we ordered the brakes. They are now here. We've ordered the correct headlight and sent the old one back. So tomorrow the fitter will be back again to replace the headlight, put the brakes on, plug in, and hopefully clear all the faults. I'm about to call it a day after I close up, because if I don't check every day, things like this will happen. I actually have a meeting in 8 p.m. in central London where they expect me not to turn up in high vis, and the time is 7:34. So I'm clearly not going to be there on time, but I am doing my best, even though I am filming, making myself even later and stumbling, which will probably make the outtakes. Anyway, that's it for another long day in the yard. It was Wednesday. It's Thursday. I'm not in the yard. Earlier this morning, I was in a bathroom showroom with the client from the refurbishment projects team, going through the finalized fixtures for the bathroom and colors. And as the client is exactly the same height as me, I was required to jump in the bath.
Where?
It's not that bad, you know?
Do you feel comfortable?
It's not that bad, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so unassuming because from the outside,
It's deep.
Can I just grab some quickly?
Yes.
Okay.
And see if I was comfortable, which I was. So the decision was made. I was driving back to the yard and I thought, hold on a minute. And I had to pull over. This is Gildon Village, bought by Future Generation of Southern Growth. We did a video on this. Click here to watch that video. We did the demo and the remediation works on this site a very long time ago. This is one of the sites where we took 100 tipper loads out in one day. Must have been about 4, 5, 6 years ago now. And I'm very proud how it looks and how it's come out. That's one of the things about being involved in construction. As you're going around the M25, you can see all the projects which you contributed to. I'm heading back to the yard and we are going to go out with one of the lads. We're out with Ollie on a concrete pour. The excavation has already taken place and it's a simple discharge of C25 for these footings. Just making myself some tea to try and hold back the hunger for a little bit more. You see, Ollie got on well with the concrete pour and we'll be back in the yard very soon. And when making my tea, looked at the Ashville excavator mug and it brought back some memories. Click here to watch a video when we collected our merchandise from the port. And believe it or not, when we began our merch store, in the entire world, it was number 6 of new stores and kind of went off like a firework. And we sold 1,300 of these within like a day and a half. Now, it wasn't without problems because we didn't know that it was going to kick off the way in which it did. And we had issues with our postage and packaging, which we have since rectified, but we haven't got the Ashville mugs back in stock as of yet. The only ones we've got are ones with like very slight defects, which I wouldn't let out to anyone. Look, have a look at that. It's like a little defect there. But it did bring back a lot of memories. There's still some Ashville kit on the merch store, our jumpers, our Monday morning in the yard t-shirts. Thinking about restocking, but before we do any restocking, there's a few areas in the business that need my interest first before I start thinking about any shirts or t-shirts or mugs, because that'll probably make me a mug if I concentrated on that now when there's so much other stuff going on. Once again, the theme for today is Central London. We're going back to the Penthouse Project where we are going to begin fitting access hatches for the air conditioning units. The ceilings have been boarded with 2 layers of 12.5mm plasterboard, but we need access to the aircon units in the ceiling recess for servicing. So we're fitting fire-resistant access hatches in 2 sizes, 900 by 600 and 600 by 600. We measure the opening we need to create, cut it out, then fit timber within the ceiling void around the cutout. The hatch frame can then be fitted and screwed into this, followed by the final piece, which is the opening panel. These units will be plastered over for a flush trimless finish, just like our trimless spotlights. It's Friday morning. On the road again. Heading to a meeting before I head to the yard, and unfortunately, it looks like the heavens are about to open. Received a call from a good friend of mine in a bit of a predicament, and he said
there are difficult decisions that need to be made
and conversations he needs to have, and he doesn't know where to start. And he reckons that I always find myself in difficult positions where I need to have conversations with people, and how do I do it, and how do I build myself up to it, and how do I make the right decision? The first thing I do is try, if possible, never to react in anger. I'm furious! Because you can't take it back when you react in anger. And I also try to leave emotion out of business decisions. And sometimes I buy time so I can fully consider all of the facts
to make an informed decision. And then I find that timing is everything. Execution at a particular time is invaluable, but you can't make the decision on when the time is to execute if you don't have all the information and you're not thinking clearly. The trouble with that is generally when you need to make a difficult decision, you're not sleeping and you're under pressure. You almost need to buy yourself additional time and give yourself some leeway. And I also find that hiding doesn't help. Personally, I feel like you need to get out in front of it and have, for lack of a better term, a punch up. You gotta have a straightener. You just gotta put it out there. I'm not saying that you need to be rude, and you may be economical with the truth. And a lot of the time it's about delivery. It's about how you deliver the information, but I would never hide. I would never not answer my phone. I would never pretend it didn't happen. Never go AWOL if your health permits it, of course, and stand in front of it. Even if you're giving people bad news, if they can get a hold of you and they can speak to you and communicate, it's often a lot better than them feeling they have to chase you round. If they're feeling that they're chasing you round and there's no contact, then what they do, they fill in the gaps themselves. And more often than not, when they fill in the gaps, they make it worse. And that isn't their fault because they don't have all the information and you aren't there to help them come to a conclusion. Take time, take it all in, execute, and just stand in front of it. And you may well take a good couple of lefts and rights, and it may be a difficult conversation, and you may get the hairdryer treatment, and it may not achieve the outcome, but at least if you're in front of it, you are not in control, but you have an element of control. Because while you're hiding, you don't know what they're doing. So better to try to communicate, because in my experience, irrespective of how bad the situation is, if there is an element of communication, there are parts which can be worked through together despite how you may feel about each other. It's not even Saturday, and there I am contemplating and being philosophical and trying to use my experience. Heading to the yard where I hope it won't be raining.
That machine is now lovely and clean, ready to go out on hire. And I've been studying the plant hire business, and a lot like other business lines within the construction industry, it is definitely a volume game, because day to day, with how many plant hire firms there are, you're never going to make a lot of money renting out the kit. Even if the kit's out the entire time, you're making between 100 and 50 quid a week on each machine. Unless, of course, you have massive buying power and you're buying 1,000 machines at a time and the manufacturer is giving you huge discounts, and then you have fantastic finance rates, or you have the resources to buy them outright so you're not paying any finance. At that point, the numbers stack up very well. But down here with small and medium-sized businesses, you hope to rent out the kit, look after it, pay the finance down. You hope that it holds its value, and after the 3 or 4 or 5 year cycle, however long you hold it for to pay it off, you then sell it, and that will give you an injection into the business for a deposit on the next one, and hopefully, some cash. So it is most definitely a long game. You're not just going to buy 2 machines and rent them out and unfortunately think that you're going to change the world. Our plant hire business isn't really run as a separate business at the moment. It's more offering the service to our existing clients who use us for concrete grabs, tippers, material, etc. as we build our credit history and we build a name for ourselves in plant hire, we hope in the future that it can be a standalone business, but we would most definitely have to up the volume of machines we had and increase our buying power to get the rates down and then get some good finance rates. Otherwise, once again, it could be one of those product lines where you become a busy fool. Now, we're heading back into central London again, and this time into the utility. We've already begun to build up the floor level of 2x2, but the work is on pause while Chris fits the waste pipe, which is going to be shared by the washing machine, the pressure relief valve on the water cylinder, and the waste from the aircon units of the bedrooms, which sits within the ceiling recess of the utility. Once the pipe is in place, we can continue to build up the floor level around it with 2x2. Then we fit one full sheet of ply with minimal cuts as the next layer and fix through to the 2x2. On top of this will be an acoustic floating floor, underlay, and then engineered wood flooring. Time is 5:15 p.m. A lot of the lads are getting back late. Wasn't too busy down this neck of the woods, so one of our friends in the north of the country gave us some work. Now they are flat out busy, so we're leaving here first thing in the morning, going to the furthest point. We're taking a load of muck. We're then coming back this way, tipping it off in their premises, loading type 1, tipping it to a job, going back, loading type 1, tipping it to a job. And when we get to the job the second time, we're taking material, bringing it down this way into Aylesbury. And in Aylesbury, we're tipping off and then taking a load and then bringing it back. Now, it's a good day's work. You do burn a lot of diesel, but at the end of the day, it's work. And we were stuck and they gave us the work within 2 hours of asking. And apparently, up the north of the country, they are flat out. What generally happens is London leads the market. So if in London, it begins to quiet down and it's dead, that has a knock-on effect and it follows its way up the country. I sincerely hope that doesn't happen to the lads up there, because nobody wants to be scratching around for work. Anyway, the flatbed is ready and washed off. We have a machine which needs to be loaded and tied down tomorrow. Just taking a look at the lorries as they're parked up, and once again contemplating and thinking to myself that I have always learnt more in business when I have had problems. In the good times, I have learnt, but I've always learnt more in business about myself, about my team, about my resources when things have gone wrong. So lately, I have most definitely learnt a lot. And that's it for Friday. Saturday, and we're in the yard. We're trying to suck all of the water out of the puddles and drop recycled material in to build it up. We're doing the first area by the car park to try to make it a little bit more pleasant for the staff when they're parking their cars and walking through. And then we're doing the areas around the fuel tank where the lorries are going into very large puddles and they can't see what's within them. It's not ideal. That's the position we're in at the moment, and as long as it keeps raining, everything is going to be a little bit here and a little bit there. We're also digging out the sloppy material just outside the Jersey barriers on the car park, because this is blocking water flowing out of the car park. So if there's water in the car park, it can run underneath through the forklift holes. That way, the water will not build up in the car park. We need the sun to shine. I remember the summer, we were having to drop water down because of dust. And now here we are, sucking up the water to avoid mud. It's always feast or famine.
Paper. There it is. Do you reckon this one's better or the other one?
No, the other one. Full screen it.
Either. Just. Nah, that's not good. Do you reckon this? I gotta get my kick somehow. So Meds is logging in remotely, and we've got this ongoing joke that Meds always cries when he's got to do a graphic, and this is the world's best cry, where the guy says, so I thought that I would log in and set up a wallpaper that Meds would be comfortable with, so he would feel at home when he remoted in, so he could feel like he was in the office doing graphics. Let's just close this up. You wouldn't think that I had serious problems and things to do with my time. Time is 4 p.m. Everyone's gone home at the moment, but myself and Frighty. Ashville Weekly, episode 225. Click here to watch that video. It's coming out in the morning. The weather report said it wouldn't rain, so we thought we would make hay while the sun didn't shine, but it didn't rain. And we started sucking out all the puddles, and the rain came down upon us, and the holes that we had just sucked out to fill with material, they filled up and it wasn't possible. So a waste of time. What we did manage to do was run the sweeper over the weighbridge and get it nice and clean. And out the front, we've just left a pile of muck for a grab to take on Monday morning. It's not in the way and no one can track anything onto the road. Taking my normal walk, we're down to 16 tons of cement in the silo, concrete lorry loaded for Monday morning. The work has picked up a little bit in February. All of us down here in this part of the country are in the same boat, which is not very good, because if there is someone who's flat out busy with great work, at least there's hope. And while they're busy, they're not pricing for the work that you're pricing. There are jobs which we priced and got approved in November, which were meant to start in November, which are due now to start at the end of this month and maybe the beginning of March. An improvement in the weather would significantly help. Protest. Today, oh my God. It's Monday morning, I'm not in the yard. We are in support of this. I thought we'd shed some light on the topic. We hope it goes very well and it gives the we are in support and give some additional. Needs a bit of a wash, but has a new aircon compressor. Another long day, but hopefully. Sorry, I just saw something. What on earth was that? I just saw something move that wasn't a rat and it wasn't a cat and it wasn't a fox. I have no idea what that was. The weeks back, quickly turn around and film that. Otherwise you'll miss it. There's not enough space for us there, Luke. It's Wednesday. Once again, it's 8 now that has just annoyed me right away. Now why would we leave that light on? Why would we leave the container open and why would we leave the light on?
Our plant hire business is more run to our plant and the impact it has. I'm starting again. You know, it can completely. Jesus, I'm doing very well here, am I? In the future, we'd like to base a lot of what we do on recycled material. In the future, we'd like to do. That's it for another week at Ashville. It's Saturday. I'm in the yard, and that was Ashville Weekly, episode 227. Click here for the Ashville website. Click here to subscribe to our channel. Click down here to see an Ashville video you may not have seen before, and click down here for last week's episode, which was number 226.